was the winter of 1945. I arrived in New York and I caught pneumonia almost immediately. And my parents put me in Mount Sinai Hospital. And I was isolated in a ward, away from anybody who spoke Spanish. My parents would say that they would come to visit once a week and they would see me through a partition, a glass partition. I would cry and then I would turn around and I imagine.
Here she is.
Who was there? English-speaking nurses.
This is
How
Sylvia
do you do?
Barker. How do you do? She was head of pediatric nursing during the 40s when you were here.
Of course, took care of me and loved me and consoled me in English.
This is a corner cubicle. This is what your mother remembers. This is a good picture of.
So this is a picture of what I would be in,
yes,
something like that.
Mm-hmm. This is the corner cubicle. Yes. This is the picture of where you.
And when I came out of that hospital,
Pneumonia. Yes.
I did not speak a word of Spanish. I did not speak a word of Spanish for the next 10 years. I wanted to be only one thing. I wanted to be entirely American. I didn't understand back then, of course, that to be American is, in fact, truly to be many things. But I was looking for the security of one definition of America. Only one way to understand being an American. You know, the razzmatazz, let's sing the anthem and let's salute the flag, the patriotic America. That's the only one I wanted. I did not want to have anything to do with any Latino roots of any sort whatsoever. I cut myself off. I protected myself with my language, with my English. But I cut myself off from all the other Americas that were inside me, waiting to come out. My parents, well, they tried, to get me to speak Spanish, but I wouldn't. I wouldn't have anything to do with my roots. They even put a gaucho costume on me. They thought maybe that would provoke me into speaking Spanish, but I didn't speak a word of Spanish. And then, when I was 12 years old, I had to go to Chile. And over the years, very slowly, I decided something exactly the opposite, which was I was going to seek protection and belonging and security, not in the English language, but in the Spanish language. And I wouldn't speak a word of English whatsoever. That was the protection that I was seeking. And then, the coup came and the military takeover, and I was thrown into exile. And I began to realize that my English was going to serve a purpose, that it was going to save me, it was going to help me, it was going to help to save my country in some sense. I was going to be able to use it to write, and just like my Spanish, and that I could coexist with all of them. And then, of course, I did at the same time have to get a coat, which was, in some sense, making me into who I wasn't, making believe I was somebody else. Yeah, it sort of fits, I haven't had it on for perhaps 20-some years, perhaps more. 25, almost 30 years I haven't had this on. But there was a time when it was life or death, this coat. Every time there was a situation which was difficult, I could disguise my poverty, disguise my helplessness, disguise my exiled condition, disguise who I really was, So I was putting it on every time I had to go for an interview, every time I had to look for a job, or every time I had to speak to some very big political bigwig to try to get this person to intervene to stop somebody in Chile from being killed or tortured. And I would go in, and this was my shield, this was my armor, this was what protected me for so many years. And now I've come to the conclusion that when you exclude a part of yourself, you end up condemning yourself to emptiness. You survive, but at what a cost. I didn't know I liked this coat this much. I really like it. Yeah, I think I am going to keep this definitely.